Okay,
I'll volunteer.
okay. And changes, well, all right, go to it.
All right. Our meeting calls to order. Okay, we're doing corrections and approval to the past minutes of February 3rd. Any heard?
I don't see any corrections. I will move to approve.
I'll second. Opposed? Corrections? Additions?
I'll just make a note. I'm not sure. I found an old version of it somewhere that had the wrong dates on it, but I fixed it and I think it's all right on the web. So anyway. All in favor?
Changes to agenda?
I just let's add introductions because we have a new
Oh,
interested
okay.
party here.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
my name is Michael. And I'm an Appalachian Mountain Club trip leader.
And you live in Thompson?
I live in Webster,
In West-
so I spend a lot of time up in Douglas. I do a lot of trail work, trail maintenance. I started a Adopt a Trail program up at Wachusett Mountain. So I got my hands in a lot of different pots. So I
Okay.
also do work with the Greater Western Land Trust, and I do work with the North Quadrant Trail Association.
Well, welcome to bring your expertise. It's great. Let's just go around and say names.
I'm Lucille Langhorst.
I'm Paul Provost, trail maintenance. And whatever.
Guru. Karen Durlack, Chair.
David. Brian LaFredo, I'm in charge of the turkey trot up with this fundraiser.
Diane Brown.
And I'm Charlie Obert. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm at a nice cozy library here at home. But Karen, that's exactly what we were looking for, somebody on the Douglas side to join up with the things we were talking at the Wyndham Land Trust. A loop around connectivity of the 3 states. So now
Right.
we've got more representation, more help.
Okay. Any other changes to the agenda?
Correspondence?
A couple of things. I gotta ask to write something for the selectmen's update too late. I didn't see it. And so I just put in a little blurb thanking our sponsors and volunteers for the turkey trot. I didn't list them all this year. And a t-shirt ad. So I told Marie to just fill it in as filler wherever she could put it. I didn't really have anything to write about because I didn't want to announce anything yet about the new train wreck site of it. So that's what it is. It is what it is. And then also, I'll just mention that Joe Iamartina from the Historical sent me a link to the Pomeroy Foundation, which gives grants for signs. And I haven't done anything about
The
that
signs.
signage.
Oh, I got a list of.
Well, no, they do these nice aluminum signs on a 7-foot pole. They pay for the whole sign stuff and the shipping to you, not the installation. And Joe wanted us to do apply for one. They have different categories and I'm still trying to figure out where we might fit in because they have all these restrictions on certain of the categories. And the grant cycle is twice a year, so I didn't race to get anything in there. Part of it, what we'll have to discuss is like, it's one sign, and is it gonna go with any other signage that we're planning? And do we want something over at the turntable site? So this is gonna be something for further discussion. I need to talk, and then should historical apply for it, or should we apply for it? It can be a town entity that applies. But then also it's like, where is it gonna be installed? If it's on airline trail, we have to get permission, so why apply until we have permission? And it's gonna look different than everything else that the airline trail people as a group of the Alliance are planning. So there's all these unknown questions. I'll keep pursuing it, but
What little I know, the DAR gets their signage from them. And they look pretty good.
they're very nice looking
Yeah,
signs.
They're not cheapo items.
Right,
Yeah.
but you know, you can apply for one and the categories are folk life, which I think is our best bet. Because the hometown heritage one is not for structures that no longer exist, and the historic transportation marker is not for former rail beds without a structure. So I put in a call to them and I'll see where we might fit. I mean, it's not really folklore, it's a real historical
Yeah.
thing, so we'll just,
We do have some signs that we put over there, like the glass signs.
Yeah.
Whatever that we looked through, and then I'll also say that, I mean, the town purchased that property from the Butlers. And where the train station is, I don't even know if that's airline trail or if that's Ponset, like.
So.
right,
We
that's,
did purchase it from the Butlers. When all the work is done, I'm going to be transferring ownership to the state, so that the state
Ah.
owns
So-
all of the
so
stuff.
then-
So we should get the signs on before we transfer.
Right, that's what I
That'd be a thought.
Yeah.
well, I don't know if they'll give you a sign, you have to give them the location and you have to
Yeah,
provide historical backup and primary sources. And I don't know if they'll do a sign that is not visible from the road. You know, it's off in the woods, and I don't know if,
well, they like their signs to be visible because,
yeah,
So,
I'm just gonna use the DAR that I recently joined. They had been working for a couple of years to put a sign at one of the cemeteries in Oxford for, you know, the Revolutionary guys. And they had the sign, you know, they had everything there. And it's the church that said, no, they don't want another sign on their cemetery. So again, you know, if you get something, they're gonna wanna know where it's going,
right.
who you got permission from, and all, you know, dotting all of the i's and crossing the t's. Cause, you know, now we're stuck with, you know, what do we do with all the information that we got? That, you know, the sign was ready to go. We had the money, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
they were gonna give us the sign, but
I would say if we could get it before we had to transfer it, then it is part of the site, like, we're not trying to put something up that, like. It's about the historical site, and I'll say this, have you been up there?
No,
It's not the middle of the woods anymore. It's beautiful up there. I went up there last week and it, like, the stuff that's all exposed.
now is that a town road or state road?
No.
That's
So,
all town roads up.
so if we got permission to
Right.
put it on the road, there's not another access though to the turntable.
Well, you can come from either end of the trail on there, but I'm
Yeah.
saying right on the side of where the, again, the barn, whatever it used to be, who knows the names, like. I think it's not in the middle of the woods, like, that's all open there, it's really nice, like, it's, people are gonna see the sign.
And
I
technically,
believe this, Karen, I believe a stone foundation could be described of as a structure.
Well, that's why I called
Oh,
up to
yeah,
find
I-
out
I
if
was
I
just
could do
about to
that.
I
Think about-
know that the airline trail is still working to decide what kind of signs they want, so
Right.
maybe rather than having a sign made and finding out it's wrong, we can work with the other committee, bringing in this foundation because they're interested in signs and see if they want to help us to get a proper design for the whole airline trail. It's something that we need.
This sign is specific. They tell you how many lines.
So far,
how
so
many-
far, so far. It's an introduction as well. It's an
No, but
introduction to
this
somebody we
particular
didn't know.
grant for this sign, they have really specific
Yep.
visual
yep,
of what it has to be. I mean,
Understood.
I can
do
email the link
understand.
to everybody to look at if they want to. But I was thinking, yes, it makes sense at the turntable site, thinking it was town land. If it's gonna
Well,
be state,
temporarily it is.
temporarily, right, but also they want it to be where you can see it, so.
And if it
I have
designs
to
with
go look at it.
well, your trail census counter tells you that we have between 18 and 24,000 people at that spot per year. it doesn't matter whether it's honestly true or not. You have to show the data. The
That's
data
my
is the
point.
data.
Be flexible, be flexible.
Anyway, then it's like, do we apply for the grant or should the Historical Society apply for the
Yeah,
grant? So that's the
probably.
other question, and why I tried to call them and find out if there was like a better way to do it, that town versus a 501c3.
And
So,
just to be clear, and Joe has mentioned this to me, I think every year, at least once.
this side,
This sign program for something somewhere, and I always reply back and I say, great, where do you want it to be and what do you want it to commemorate? And it never really goes any further for that, so but it sounds like you've read it more recently, so they pay for all the materials and the local match is the installation costs.
right, they pay for shipping, right,
Okay. And the trails budget could cover that.
do the installation, right.
Right, so
yeah.
if it's gonna be a town entity, it would really have to be trails, because we don't have a little discretionary budget for anything else like that. I mean, it would be probably a grant to put the sign in, you gotta figure. Be easy enough to get that quote from, Graphics Unlimited, who did all the other signs.
Yeah, I'm not so much worried about that, is that, will they recognize us as an entity? We're not a 501c3, and then we're not applying as the town.
No, you would be applying
as the
ta-
town.
as the
Okay,
Town of
all
Thompson
right,
Trails
okay,
Committee, it's just
okay.
that your source of funding is not from a taxpayer dollars bucket, it's from a donations bucket.
Right,
So
okay.
yeah, that would be fine, I'm sure.
We don't have any pictures of the sign. I don't.
I'll-
know if it
I'll
was
send-
matched Sort of with the sign that, the East Thompson.
Might
sign
be a
that's
little
on
bit.
there.
What is it, the Pomeroy?
Those are all
Foundation?
Pomeroy Foundation.
So
See
we'll
if I can
catch
look
up.
it up.
Our visitor is Michael from the Douglas and Webster area. There's a lot of trail maintenance and work up there. John is one of our big trail maintenance guys, and Mike is one of our veterans. He's been with us forever, so.
Okay.
2 mics in them.
I also take care of the Mid-State Trail in Douglas. So,
I think we corresponded on the Facebook Messenger or Facebook.
yeah,
I'm one of them, Brian's one of them that posts on there, so I think we corresponded.
right.
All right, well, we could go on while you're looking for that. Oh yeah, you found it. So the red one would be the folk life category. So each different category is a different color. Then go on to celebrate history.
Uh-huh. This one? Maybe?
Hmm,
Yeah, that's the category.
Here we go, just didn't. Hungry for history, legends and lore.
Legends and lore.
Legends. There I go. John Henry was a steam driving man, steel driving man.
And now he owns the Red Sox.
So this, keep going down. So we would come under that folk life category,
Maybe.
real people. And then they want all the primary sources from, so we have to work with historical for that stuff.
Well, it's a historical.
So, well, here we go.
Train
Subjects
wreck.
which are not successful include
that's what I was
historical
thinking.
events lacking a folkloric aspect. So the crash of the trains is not a folkloric aspect. That
You
is
don't
a
think?
factual event. A
That's historical.
folkloric aspect would be the story of the ghost of Mr. Rath. That's a folkloric aspect. Just looking at this,
Who's Mr. Rath?
that's
The man-
the-
guy that was-
The one guy that disappeared.
right,
road.
right.
And it's-
So it's gonna be aspect, right?
Yeah,
the-
so that would be, if you want to have
for
the
train
folkloric aspect, that would have to be
Um,
your,
I don't think that'll
Sign.
go.
Uh,
I think it should say, welcome to West
that's
East
what I was
Thompson, train wreck capital of the world.
So,
I don't know if I want.
and that, so that would be a legend. Stories passed down that are popularly regarded as historical, although not verifiable.
what about the
Okay.
historical?
What was the other?
So where was the historical one?
The historic transportation marker is
Yeah.
only for existing structures. So that I wanted to find out if a rebuilt structure, like
We
the
didn't rebuild it.
turntable would,
It's existing, we just uncovered it.
Now, a lot depends on how many people apply for it, but it could be flexible. It could be interesting to them. Those are nice signs. I never knew who made them or who put them up.
I don't see anything in here that talks about transportation, but
Oh, that's
I'm
another-
obviously scrolling very quickly, so.
that's another category in the, when you go to celebrate history and then you go down, there's a, going.
Am I just not seeing it because?
Historic
something's blocked?
marker.
Historic transportation, the bottom of the screen on, as one,
Oh,
two more
it's
down.
under your-
I've got
under your
something in my
bar.
way here. Hold on, let me find it. Let me pull it up a different way. Stop share. I see why it's a problem. There we go. Now I can share
I
again.
went up there last week.
Okay, historic transportation marker,
Oh, that's-
bridges and tunnels, railroads. Let's
Oh,
see.
keep going. Real beds, go down. Oh,
Charlie's always in the way.
Well, it's, nobody else can see it, it's just. here that we can
I'm
see
sliding you all over the place, Charlie.
it. Historical accuracy.
no, go back up. It says not former rail beds without a structure. So I didn't know.
I would beg to differ, we have structure, I mean, 3 of them are there. I mean, it's only the foundations, but in the turntable.
I agree
mean,
with what was just said and tried to raise the point before. I think a lot depends on how many other applicants go in.
Yeah, I see it now.
But the foundation of the turntable or any of that is a foundation, it's a structure. It was made.
I would agree from a land use perspective, anything that's built is if it's permanently affixed as a structure. So the turntable would be that. The foundation has 2 disadvantages. One, it is already on the state land. It's outside the boundaries of the property that we currently own.
Yeah,
And just the foundation. The turntable, once it's reconstructed, is the turntable. It's what the structure essentially was. I mean, it's not necessarily complete, but it is the full footprint. It's not like it was a building there.
Well, and you also have the engine house foundation by the turntable. That structure is all, but it's still there, it's been uncovered.
You know, if the sign were put in the middle of the turntable, you'd probably get away with it that way. Because, you know, the structure is there. And, you know,
I guess it really will come down to how many other applicants they have. If they got 100.
No, I don't think so, because it'll just be
You
pushed
either,
off to the next deadline.
you either
Yeah.
fit their criteria or
But you-
not, I
right,
think.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So there's a May 16th deadline for the historic transportation marker one, or November 7th.
Yeah.
So you think that, well, but then again, it's, you put it by the structures, it's not real visible from the road, you think?
doesn't have
Does
to
it say
be.
from the road or?
No, but from the trail would, okay.
Near
just
is
saying-
a relative term.
And I can show you
It
pictures.
could be at the parking lot and still be near the turntable.
No, it can't be. It's gotta be within.
That's
Oh,
the state part. that
It's
we
gotta be
talked
within.
about.
And also it's the state land then at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's open over there, Karen, where you're gonna be able to see it. And I think much like our signs that we already put up there where people have commented on them and like they're being seen. It's not like you gotta hike into the middle of the woods and use your GPS to find a needle in the haystack.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
I would say the only disadvantage is you do have a sign in that series that is already right there that describes that it is a turntable with the look through. It isn't necessarily a detraction, but there is already a sign
Right.
that we put up to mark that very artifact, so.
So were those, just as an aside, were all those signs okay? Because somebody's last meeting said they were taken down for the, and were they in good shape?
One of them at least needs to still be reinstalled. I was up there
No,
today.
tomorrow they should be, so they moved, I'll talk about that when we get to the.
Okay, all right, well, that was.
I saw
so-
one that had been moved today. I didn't go any further than the parking lot.
Oh, you went there today?
Yeah, just to see if you guys got
Yeah,
around,
they
or
moved the
those guys got
kiosks.
around to putting the.
I moved the kiosk and the
Hmm.
first sign, that was the metal sign.
Okay, so that's all I have for correspondence. And finances, you have it on the back of your agenda,
Yep.
but it's the same as last month. So you can go on.
Are we
Yeah,
done with
that's what it
finances?
said.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear some words on finances. Okay,
No,
citizens
it's
comments.
the same as last meeting.
No citizens to make
No,
comments?
Valerie's got her hand up in the Zoom room.
Okay, moving on.
Nope,
No, no,
Valerie has her hand up.
we know.
I'm waiting to be recognized.
Yeah.
I recognize you.
Thank you, Karen. Valerie Clark, Elm Road. Perhaps it came in too late for the meeting, but my understanding is you do have correspondence from very early this morning. It was submitted on your website, is my understanding.
Hmm.
So
Well,
Do you know
So-
what it said?
I don't know what it said. I know what it's about. So I'm gonna jump into my piece. Bay State Trail Riders has, excuse me, an annual membership meeting. And it was held last month. And because people know I'm from Thompson, several people came to me complaining about what's going on at the Trainwreck Memorial Park site and the parking lot. And so given that, and I talked to them about how they would communicate that with the town. And given that I had a number of people commenting, I did not initiate those conversations. I went over, I was driving by and I said, I'm gonna go try and drive in this parking lot. And this was just last week. And many of you know I have a pretty small car. And I drove into the parking lot and I could not see how I would get a horse trailer and a truck into the parking lot and park. My opinion. I did not try to take a horse trailer and my truck. I only took my little car, but I'm very good with my trailer. Frequently people will ask me to move their rigs for them because they see that I'm pretty good with it. And I was not comfortable in that parking lot. So then I know that one of the people this morning early emailed through your website that had talked to me at the membership meeting. I don't know what she said when she emailed you all. Regardless, I also mentioned to Becky Gallagher from Bay State Trail Riders, who had helped advise y'all on how to design that parking lot so that you could accommodate horses and horse trailers, which are frequent users of that trail and that area previous to the construction. And she stopped in and measured it. She said, it's tight. She requested that I share with you her feedback. She would like to see the corners of the parking spaces rounded so that you can back the trailer. She said the only way to successfully park there is to pull in and back the trailer. She said you would probably be able to squeeze 2 trailers in. If you can back in, you would need to have the corners of the parking spaces rounded so that you can turn around that sharp corner to back in. The other thing that we talked about is I believe that the decision was made, and it looks like the decision was made to keep this as a permeable surface. And with the permeable surface, I'm not clear why we need a retention pond in the middle of the parking lot. And could we please look at removing that swale that's there? Because when I looked at it, I said, I'm just gonna either have somebody accidentally back their trailer into that swale, or I'm gonna have my horse in it. And it would be so much better, it would be a much better use of the space if we could eliminate that middle swale. So that's the feedback I have so far. Let you read the correspondence when you read.
Valerie, this is Paul. Just some feedback on some of the things. They're gonna be putting a fence all around the parking area, so you're not gonna be able to drive your car without running through a fence in any of those. There'll be a fence between the parking lot, the trail, and the whole front. Now, when you drove in,
I'm
did you
sorry.
did you drive in the new entrance, not up the trail? People,
Right,
would-
I drove in the new entrance.
all right.
And if there's gonna be a fence, that's gonna be making it even harder. And the one last observation, I don't know if this has changed, I know we had recommended it be removed. There are, in the original plan from 2 years ago, there were several car parking spaces that were located at the entrance, right in front of or across from at the entrance where the trailer parking is. And we all agreed that once those cars park in those spaces, you won't be able to get back out if you've gotten in with a trailer.
I don't think those spaces are there. I think that was temporary spaces when they were doing some of the construction. I believe that's just, there's no drive, they just put loom down over there.
I'll agree with what you said. I think when the original plan came out, there was something about parking and it was brought up about backing the trailers and that wouldn't be a good spot. And then when we got the kind of the final thing, I think those spots were taken off there because they would be in the way of pulling in and for trailers pulling in.
Another thing, it's getting a little late. The guys that are actually doing the construction and that work, they're gonna be done this week. They're going
Okay,
to
hey, I have a question and a suggestion. Is it possible that Valerie could drive over there with her truck and an empty trailer? And we can have a punch list review to see if they built this the way that they're supposed to? We got a week. Those machines are still there. If they think they know how to build it and it ain't right, we got problems for years.
So they built it to the plan and
But I heard you and John both say that the plans were changed. It said there were gonna be parking spaces and they didn't happen. You both said that in the last few minutes.
I said that, Charlie, but that was part of the final plan. Those parking spaces were taken out. That was part of the original plan, and somebody brought up that if you park cars in the way getting in, that trailers are not gonna be able to back in. So that
I
was
haven't
taken
seen any of the paperwork since the preliminary stuff went in. But if they're not building it the way that it was designed, we're gonna have problems. And it
The
sounds like
contract
that was the
have-
time to fix it.
The contractors have the site plan, which was the final version approved after multiple conversations with this committee and others.
May I ask where that could be found?
I can probably find it.
Because I have the one from 2 years ago that wasn't final. I didn't think it was final. I had heard there were going to be changes per the feedback you got from the horseback riders. And then I never saw a final.
It does seem like a real smart thing if Valerie Clark's available. Couple of people.
No, I don't think that,
they're still working there.
yeah,
so
they're
it's gonna
working
be-
there, yeah.
They are still
It's not
working
a
there,
good idea.
so it's still a work in progress. Once they put their machines on the truck, it's done.
I'll keep looking for it. You can move on. We can always go back to it later.
All right, I
You know
just
how long
wanna,
it'll Take me to find.
I
that,
just
but-
want to announce and apologize. I did not see an email this morning because I am not a town employee and the stuff that goes to the website does not always get to it doesn't forward to my email. And so I have to go searching for it and I didn't search for it today.
I did not see anything forwarded from the selectman's office. I don't know that Marie always copies me on stuff that comes to you. She copies
Oh,
me on
usually,
stuff.
I
She
didn't know
copies me on
that.
stuff that
Okay.
goes to planning and zoning and some of the others.
I
but don't-
doubt you get it. I get very few emails through the website. And so I don't look very often. I'm sorry.
Okay, so while Tara's looking for the plans, can we
I
move
think I
on to
found
the
it. It's
trail
just not
updates?
downloading.
I have one more question.
Okay,
When you get to the agenda item about Blackmore Brook, Blackmore Forest with Wyndham Land Trust, there was an item that had my name on it in the minutes. I don't know if you want that update from me then, or whether I'm supposed to give it at citizens' comments.
oh, it doesn't matter. You want to do it now?
If it doesn't matter, let's wait.
Okay,
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to not lose the opportunity to
Yeah,
give the update. Thank you.
okay, go.
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
We're gonna go to land trust updates. Is that what we're doing for her?
Well, we
King
skipped
Trail.
an item. The heat-tap signs, did they for the Riverwalk, are those done? You wanted a,
I think they're in the final stages.
Okay.
The signage, this design is about ready, but the signs will have to be created by someone outside of the Lasprey Valley, because we didn't provide signs. We only provide the design.
okay, we didn't resolve that then.
No.
We're gonna get those made. Okay, but there are files when we figure that out. So we have to
Yes.
talk about
Yes.
how we're gonna do the signs, the signs that go behind the KFC. Everybody remember the walk back there? So we'll have to take a look at that. I don't know. Okay, we'll have to look into how those are gonna get installed. Or made, right? Made. Who made the others? The
person he
prisons,
made's
right?
from, State of Connecticut.
Sharon, I have a
Yeah.
question. The river trail. With the work that's being planned at the back of 65 Main Street, is there any possibility we could build not a bridge, but kind of a ford using large rocks so people could step across the river at that point? I was walking through the park the other day and looking across the stream. In the summer, I wouldn't mind walking across it in sandals, but,
That's a new agenda item.
oh, is it? Well, I just
I would
saw,
say so. That's not where we're talking about.
well, we were talking about the river trail. North
This is
Shore
behind the KFC, not behind 65 Main.
Oh. Well, there was a pause in the action, so I filled it.
All right, but it's something we could put on a future agenda, or if we have time at the end, but that, we've not discussed that. I think we should discuss ongoing things.
Okay, so we're up to the Wyndham Land Trust updates. Get back to Valerie.
Yeah, in the minutes from the last meeting, the piece that was under my name was that with Wyndham Land Trust, one of the issues over toward the Leclerc property in the Blackmore Forest was the abandoned truck that had been crashed down the trail. And I gave feedback to Mike St. Lawrence and of Wyndham Land Trust, and Charlie was CC'd in that loop, as well as Andy from Wyndham Land Trust. And I brought my friend that does lots of wild scrap metal recycling. He's able to get stuff out of all kinds of places. And Mike had encouraged us to drive in with a truck. And we were only able to get so far because the trail narrows significantly and it is extremely wet for anyone that was on that walk with us. It is still extremely wet and not passable. So we tried to walk the rest of the way and he just shook his head and he said, unless I can come in from the Leclerc side, I can't do this. We would need to, he said it would be a benefit to all the trail users, all the legitimate ones, to flatten those trails and get the moguls that the four-wheelers have put in out. But he said he can't get in there with any kind of equipment to tow the vehicle out, and he recommended that we find an alternative, like either going in through Leclerc, which Mike is trying to work on, or my suggestion was we find a way to take it out in pieces with a volunteer crew. So that's my update. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you to your friend that went in and took a look.
Any other,
Brave man.
Yeah,
any other information on the land trust?
I have not heard anything else.
Okay, so we're on.
Has
to-
anybody gone and checked out the
Regarding
Bull
that
Hill
pickup
Farm?
truck, I did contact the Connecticut State Police. They ran the VIN number. It was last registered to somebody in the Worcester area in 2017. It's not reported stolen. I wouldn't mind helping to cut that thing up and get it out of there. Or to working on widening the trails, but whenever we get around to it, we got no problems with removing that truck.
I think since it's Wyndham Land Trust property, that they should organize the workday and then let us know. And if we can, help them out, but I don't know if, we can't really take the responsibility for that truck, I don't think. What do you think?
Well, how many of us are members of Wyndham Land Trust that were there when we saw that truck? And we're members of the Trails Committee too. I had the impression that we were working as a combined committee to see what we could do to open up the trails on that hillside for feet traffic, mountain bikes and horses, and having them so that they can coexist around a tri-state marker. That's what I remember from that day. Other people were
Yeah,
there.
I just don't know who's would be in charge of it. Like then all the scrap metals gotta be. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, but we're not
there's
gonna
some
get that out of
liability
there.
there too.
We're not gonna get that out of there before what, June at the earliest, even. And yeah, we gotta talk to Mike and we gotta talk to the other people on the with the interest in this. But this is part of that project. When I heard our member from our new invitee from Dudley, it's the same thing. We're looking at the same thing all around Douglas State Forest and the markers. So as long as we can work together, and I think we can, be enthusiastic. Let's make this thing work. I'm sure we've got the people to vote it on both committees, but
Would you like to spearhead that?
I'm willing to, sure.
Looking at me? You're looking at Charlie.
I see Valerie's hand is up again.
And I just wanted to say, I think Mike left it that he's gonna work on this effort with Andy.
See, okay.
But
Okay, so that's what I was saying. It's like, I think it's up to them to decide who and when, and we can add manpower if we can.
Okay, so we're on to the airline State Park Trail.
All right, so I got a few pictures. Can you share the screen with me? I don't know how it's gonna work with my.
Yeah, you are allowed to share screen.
What is
I
that?
was gonna have you, so you should be able to, well, I don't know how it looks configured on the phone. Can you see on the screen up here? where there's this share tray, share screen. So if you can find that function, you can share from your phone's photo gallery.
It says Paul's phone, so we're there already.
Well, that's because I'm logged in.
I would have you email them to me, but I think the reason I can't open the construction plan for the parking area is because I changed my password earlier
So
today
I don't
on
know
my
how to-
desktop and not on here, so they won't sync. I
There's
think
just-
that's why that is.
There's no thing on my phone that says share. So I got.
I haven't done it from a
I
phone.
bet you're up there.
So I got three things there. I got
What was that?
So that's just like Charlie, Valerie,
have to-
that's just the
I don't
people
want
who
it to
are
be-
attending. He still has to
What-
share it from his device,
This is three
To-
pages, one.
like from his
Two,
device. I can't share it for him
three.
from his device.
don't
I
know.
can only give him permission to do it, which I did.
So,
What's the date of that? File you were trying to tell me? Is that when the presentation would have been? I'm looking on my phone for it because I have pictures. I just.
So
I don't know how to do
assuming
it.
that this is the correct one, and I think it is, I have it finalized on, in my files around May,
I'm driving.
March 5th, 2024.
Yeah, so I don't know how to do it. It's not gonna work.
Well, what were you gonna show?
gonna-
Describe the site.
Show you all the latest pictures in this, what we have, where things are and whatever. So John, I sent you some pictures.
Yep.
Is our Facebook site down? I couldn't get to our Facebook site.
It's up as far as I know. I can't look here because I don't have any, but it's been up. I was just on it. But yeah, I looked at there just a couple of minutes ago. It's up. I didn't share any of those pictures because I wanted to wait until this meeting came because I wasn't sure what we wanted to do because I know we're gonna make it into some kind of a thing when it's done to bring people there. So I didn't know.
Well, we've
if we-
talked about that. That's not set in stone.
Right, but anyways, I wanted to come to the meeting first and say, do you want me to share pictures? Because I actually have some pictures that I took and I have videos, like I didn't know what you wanted me to put out.
I think you can go
Okay.
and share probably for those one.
Okay,
These are the pictures.
It's, I mean, it's
This is-
there for the public to
Right.
see, so.
I just wanted to check first, but I
Okay,
will,
this thing.
I'll post some pictures onto Facebook. I don't know how to share pictures from a phone to that either, so.
Yeah, I've never done it
Great.
from a phone, only ever on a laptop or desktop.
But there will be some pictures up tonight.
Yeah, so once the construction guys.
So
are
that's
done
right on the
there,
road.
The last thing
That's
will
where
be
the-
whatever
where you-
landscaping, so.
We had.
So
So
see, yeah,
almost
it's a
where,
different crew is gonna.
and this is the
So it's the
metal.
seating, that
So,
berm that they
parking
built
lot
up.
right here, this is the trail.
Between the newly
and there's a
constructed
little
trail and the
walkway
neighboring
to the trail.
driveway, it's gonna get
So when you get
planted
in
with
a
some
parking lot,
trees for their
You
privacy,
get to the kiosk and you get
Uh,
out.
the fencing. Um,
Can I ask a question about where the trail crosses the road?
And that's the.
Are there
property.
gonna be ballard put in there or something? Only because, like Paul had mentioned, did you drive into the trail or did you drive in the parking lot? I can see people.
we talked
putting-
about.
They're gonna put stones down it with, right now they got cones down at the end of the
Yeah,
trail. They're gonna put stones down there, so cars can't get in.
but are horses gonna be able to get by or?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like,
They're just gonna
I
put
got you.
a
They're gonna
few, a
clean
few
up
stones.
the Stones.
just
that
big
come
enough so
up
car-
from
So
Further
that's
down
the
the site.
foundation. There's
Hmm.
a turntable. I can't show you guys.
so again, anybody who's on here, I'm gonna put some of the pictures onto the Facebook page tonight.
So I
that
get
Paul
some new
sent me.
pictures.
If you wanna send those to me, I can add them to them, Paul, to update.
Okay,
Yeah, we can pass around the ones that I took today too, but that.
But I want to
yeah,
ask, you said
That's
the
what
office
used to look
moved
like,
kind of up back what it
foundation.
was before.
That's one of the things I took a picture of today, so let me get to my gallery, we can at least pass it around this room.
Yeah, the reason why I asked about that is because I have a geocache
Shot.
in that.
this sign broke off.
It's-
Oh.
Its coordinates are
Right.
changed since they moved it, and if they move
Couple
it back,
months
then
ago.
I'm just gonna have to adjust the
So
coordinates
I,
again.
this is just glued on. So we'll talk.
If you
right
read
in a
it, it's the
second.
geocache, it says it's in the kiosk, it's easy
This
to
is
figure,
the
so I know.
engine house.
No one's complaining about it, so the
Turntable.
construction's been going on, but
So this
Turntable.
is essentially
When you
from,
send John
um,
pictures,
I
CC
send him
me
these
the,
pictures.
CC
Trail.
me the pictures and then.
So
I
that's
send them all
one
over to
side
have-
was relocated.
With. text on
Also
the
from
bottom.
there, so this
So
is the kiosk. is now
turntable's right
facing
here.
the Parking lot.
And this is a big engine
So
house that
same,
that
and you've
had
got this
two
little
stones in it.
Huh.
stonework
stone, so
there.
you can step right up to it. And then that's from the parking lot.
And this is,
That's those around.
the switch house.
For those listening in online, you got Paul showing Karen pictures from his
And
phone, that's
so
what
thi-
you're
thi-
hearing.
This is the.
And Tara
So-
and John are
So
also
we're-
sharing
Across the
pictures
street,
from their
Yeah,
phone, so that's
where the
what we're
horse-
doing right
The
now.
horse.
right over here.
The horse parking.
Yeah.
You know, the parking lot, I don't know if you guys, how you can see. over
When you
there.
first come in, it's right over
It's
here.
kind of coming from the road. looking
And
at
this
the
is-
parking lot, That's the.
that-
back of
this
the
is
kiosk
the
that faces-
Swale
Catch
that
basin.
is-
And this
That's
is where
sign
the
they put in,
kiosk
that's the
is now
trail.
right over here, and
Yeah,
that sign is
that's
right over here.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll have to go.
That's the last one. I don't know if you want to see these.
I can see.
Yeah,
And I had him put a stone in front of that. Yeah, that's when you look through.
I'll just say, at the site, if anybody hasn't gone up there, it's really, they've done beautiful work up there. Moving the stuff around, and again, I had talked to the guys last week, Paul, they said that I just missed you.
Exposed foundation.
They,
Yeah, absolutely.
I was talking to, I think the guy was the foreman or the head guy that was there anyways, and just talking to him about the stuff, and it's just really, the parking lot's, it's nice, it's open there, it's. Saying that because I think it's safe, so like people parking there, you can at least see, so. You know, for bad things to happen, hopefully it reduces that because there is more site. I'm not sure where they're gonna put the portage on,
It's going right where it is.
right where it is, or they might have moved there, I don't remember where it was when I was up there, but.
It's.
It's up close to where the yellow gate
It's
was.
Just
Um,
almost at the
okay.
gate, and
So
right
he-
next to that.
Not a problem.
He
for
also
them
told me
to
that there's
service
gonna
it.
be two hard spots up there, and I don't know if they were in for the handicap parking,
Yeah,
so
they're
that they
gonna
can
be-
park on a hard surface.
They're gonna pave that.
Yeah, and that's gonna be up kind of in the back corner of the
That's all the
parking lot,
all the way up to the,
where they would have a little bit easier access, definitely.
to the trail.
This is yours, Tara, I think.
So, yeah.
And for those who can't see, they moved the kiosk kind of back where it was before in the parking lot from, it was up on the trail while they did
That's,
construction,
right,
but
they
they
moved
kind of
that,
moved it back.
they moved that today.
Yeah, it's a much better of a spot because you can
And
definitely see it.
they
when you pull
moved
in.
the metal sign down by where the kiosk is.
Nice.
Okay, so we've gone through that.
And I just have one more question. What is the back thing now? What do you call that? Behind the turntable, there's the other thing they kind of,
The engine house.
the engine house, that's what it called. I didn't know what it was called or what it would be. But I know what it's for. I just didn't know the name. But that's just incredible, all the original bricks and the, different stuff that
So,
they did.
so all we had on the engine house, we knew where it was. We had one cornerstone and a little bit of foundation, few stones. And they were able to excavate that whole thing. It's huge. They were digging down. And they found red brick down like 4 feet down. What the hell? What's this? So they started excavating that back. And to find out what it is underneath each, there were 2 bays. Underneath each rail track, they used to have pits to work on the engine, so that you would walk down underneath, so you could work, and that was the bottom of the pits. So we found that, and then, so one's here, there should be one on the other side, and they dug down, they found. one.
That's what I'm saying. It's incredible work because the
Uh,
brick's all still there and most of it's laid out still and
Yeah,
whatever.
one side, we're gonna have to reconstruct it.
Yeah,
If anybody has any old used bricks, we could use a couple hundred of those
Just regulars. Regular red building.
red bricks.
They're just lying there.
Where's that?
The building Verticelli Tower that go.
But these
So we
bricks
can go
are,
on there.
they're just
You don't have
dry,
permission.
there's no mortar on them, so you'd have to have them really cleaned up. To get them to all fit together.
so anyways, that's what I meant by incredible work too, especially because that's, I mean, to dig all that stuff up, that's a lot. of
Yeah,
time.
and they put all stone inside all the foundations, but the outside, yeah. I believe they're gonna be putting like wood chips on the outside, but the guy that cut the trees is gonna, it's a different crew that's gonna do that.
And those guys they're leaving this week, yes.
The actual construction
Yeah.
crew, Paul was saying they should, and that's consistent with the last thing he told me, was that he thought he'd be out in early to mid-April.
Yeah.
Wicked nice guy, the
He
crew
is,
chief.
yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him
Chris.
last week, he told me
He's
if the
super
weather
helpful.
cooperates that they'd be out this week, but. I had asked about, and I didn't know about where the trail goes for the Webster line.
What about it?
Like, I didn't know, there's nothing in the way of that over there, and I know that they've had problems on that part of the trail and they're
That-
blocked
that's
up on their
still-
property, but.
We don't own that, that still belongs to the Butlers.
Yeah, I
They-
just didn't know if they wanted some rocks put in there or something, because the guy said there's plenty of rocks, but. So, limit access, I think, with bigger things. But if they're pulling out, that's probably too late to do.
All right, so are we on to the Airline Trail Alliance and funding initiatives?
I haven't heard anything and I couldn't get into the last meeting.
I think Paul and I were both in the last Zoom meeting. I definitely was. I mean, they're doing sort of the boring stuff. They elected a board of directors and they're working on bylaws. Jocelyn from RC&D does have a little money left in another grant, so they're gonna do Z maps for the 3 towns that have not been part of the program so far, which is Lebanon, Colchester, and Chaplin, I think. So it's nice. So it's going to be every town on the trail is now going to be part of the series. That means when those designs are done by Quinn and Harry, we'll have to get our hands on the common side because that'll have to have all the new towns added. Worry about that later. And that's it. I mean, I've been attending meetings. There's no action items other than the Z maps for us yet.
The last thing that I heard was they wanted a whole bunch of people to be in those hearings, in the budget hearings at the State House, but then I haven't heard anything else about that. They wanted people to call in.
Bruce sent out a template letter. I don't remember.
But is that gone by, the hearings for the budget?
They're in, I believe that they have taken all the public testimony on that. I haven't been following that too closely, I'll be honest. But my impression is that public testimony has been received. The next meeting is Monday, the 21st, 3 to 4:30. I believe they are planning on that being in person, and I don't think they have settled on a location. Although if I were to guess, I would say they're probably going to be at Wyndham Town Hall again. That's been sort of the place we've landed. You know, Bruce is really taking it on. I mostly dial into the meetings and I pipe up to help with the ZMAP piece because I'm the one with the contact information there.
Okay. Drainage and erosion issues.
Haven't heard anything back.
Wait a minute, what happened to the discussion about signage under the? Where are we?
The Alliance is just now
She
officially.
was just
formed.
talking about the route map, and I looked at the next item on it. Okay, I'll wait until we get down there.
All right.
I mean, that was where I discussed that issue. I was at that meeting on the Zoom. Does it matter when we
If you-
talk about it? I don't see where we.
What are you saying? You want to talk about the signage for the airline trail? Because that's what the Alliance, now that it's formed, is going to take up as one of their priorities.
Yes,
But I
that's, what's her name?
And they were
Jo-
going to model it, try to model it after the Hop River Alliance signage.
I'm aware of that, and I put myself forward after that meeting. I spoke to Josie or Jocelyn. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, about signage. Those who were there, I recall enthusiastic response to the idea of using for public art any of the infrastructure that's exposed. And the question about putting signs on the bridge came up, and it kind of hiccuped when somebody said we have to talk to the Department of Transportation. When I spoke with Josie afterwards, I was suggesting that there are no guidelines from the state. And whenever we've talked about it, it's been, well, we're working on it. I believe that the stakeholders, which includes the town of Thompson, have the responsibility to put the guidelines together in a way that makes sense for us as well. We have to maintain this thing. The DOT is not going to be maintaining this thing. We have to put our Department of Public Works out there to run the bulldozer and to spread the stone dust. The Department of Transportation is not. They have some responsibilities that we cannot handle, but it's our project and they can't get the guidelines together. So the last point that we talked about was, well, we're putting together a committee that's looking at signage and it's looking at these kinds of options. And yes, we've been talking about what are our responsibilities for years.
We
And
hear you, Charlie, and we hear you, and we are all eager to have it happen. But right now, it is in the lap of the Alliance to come up with the guidelines that all the towns want, and then we will figure out how we get the signs. First, they figure out what the format is going to be, and we
And
don't
I have
have that.
volunteered for that.
Well, but you're not, the way the Alliance is set up, they haven't formed subcommittees yet. That would have to be a subcommittee.
Then I volunteered for that. I've already gone through the network with
Okay,
Bruce.
but they're not at that point.
It's
they haven't-
on the agenda. We won't meet again by that point.
Whose agenda?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
7:30, if you look under 7:30, the last bullet point says signage on the railroad trestle.
We're
bridge
not
over
there
String
there. Okay,
I think that's what he's talking
Right.
about. I'm pretty sure. And the public art thing, I'm not sure where it is on the agenda,
Okay,
but it's
I don't-
kind of the same thing.
okay. I don't know public art. I don't
Well,
remember
he's
that.
talking about the bridge that goes over the airline trail at 200.
Over the on-ramp, the off-ramp.
Over by the off-ramp for 395, right? He's talking about, he had suggested that public art to be people from town or whatever to be able to do public art over there to make it more than an eyesore of just a plain cement pilings and underneath the bridge.
But we don't own it.
That is correct.
That's beside the point. We
It's
can
not
have
beside
an
the point.
influence on it if we write the correct guidelines. Hell, well, look at what's happening in Washington.
You can't
You
paint
write the
somebody else's
guidelines and you
house
just
just
go ahead
because
and
you
do
write guidelines for it.
That's the committee.
It's not ours, it's the state's. Okay, so are we on to maintenance and work days? I heard nothing on drainage and erosion, so
I haven't heard anything
I
back.
gotta go
Not-
home.
not
From
since that one,
DOT,
And
no.
I'm sure that's gonna move slowly.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, you can't just go and do what you want and they're gonna make you take it down. Give you a can of black paint and paint it over. All right, are we on to events?
No, we're
No?
on to maintenance.
Maintenance and
work
I
days.
said that, but
No,
nobody
but
said
they
anything.
backed up
Very
the
quick,
drainage.
Lucille.
So on maintenance, I'd like to get the Kubota out and do go through the trails, see what we got there. I'm willing to have it back at my house if you want to do that, where we have access to it.
Okay.
So,
just not the trailer, just the
The whole
Kubota or the
trailer.
whole trailer.
yeah,
It's easier to keep it in there, so it's not in
Yeah.
his way.
yeah, I keep it on the side.
All right, well, it
Um,
sort of segues into some of the events, wanting to know if we want to have the trailer at some of the, we'll talk about it, but,
So yes, Paul, you and I can pick something and I will manage to get that over there.
Okay, so you get somebody with a truck. to bring it.
My brother will help me out, definitely,
Okay.
yes. He helped me move it before,
Yeah.
so he'll definitely, I can use his truck or he'll help me do it.
Okay.
And we can get it moved so I can we'll have a discussion as long as the committee's fine with us leaving it there like we've done before. And we'll we'll work that out.
and just inform the town
I
where
will,
it
I,
is, yeah,
Get a hold of Joe,
yeah.
I email him and just so he knows. That I'm moving it and that kind of stuff, so he doesn't think somebody's, doing bad things. I will also say the maintenance days, we kind of brought up maintenance days, if we want to kind of figure out a maintenance day and I can advertise something. I mean, I don't know if we want to just have a discussion now, I'm not sure on everything, I mean, my surgery things are kind of in the past, I'm not saying I'm the person I was before, but I can definitely do things.
You're twice the man.
Yeah.
$6 million.
But, so we can arrange and, set up a day. Definitely a bunch of stuff coming up. So again, you talked about getting the trailer and you sent that email and I didn't correspond with you. I apologize on that, but, I'm booked that day. I was asked by the last Green Valley.
Which one, the fishing day?
The fishing day, yeah,
Okay.
this week. I was asked to, help them do some, knot tying station there. So I am part of that. So I won't have the ability for me to.
Okay, I just
show up.
wondered whether on those kind of events, is it worthwhile we've had the trailer out in public before, right, after we bought it and stuff. And is it worth us bringing them to these Touch a Truck and the fishing day and having a presence there or not?
I mean, I don't say it's bad, but like I said, mine's limited as far as access to a truck, but the other day, I think is June 5th, which is on there.
Yeah,
And that's Connecticut Trails Day, and I was planning on doing a trail hike that day, so
I think that Touch a Truck is in the evening. Is that,
I do not.
Where's that happening?
Yeah.
I think they do it
I
like
did
the
it the one
library,
time, it did-
library parking lot.
It's-
Was it worth
Yeah,
it?
it's a library park.
During the day,
It's during the
Yeah.
day?
yeah, because they want the kids there.
Is it,
Yeah.
I thought it was like a Thursday. No, it's a Saturday? What day is
It's
it?
usually on a Saturday,
Okay.
yes.
I actually think most of the people just came by because I had my dog with me and they came to say hi to the dog. Otherwise, I don't know that they would.
I mean, the times when we've
June
gone,
5th is a Thursday.
I mean, if they need a truck, okay, I'm never crazy about driving trailers around.
Yeah.
but I just don't know that.
I mean, I just want to tell
It's-
Amanda yes or no that
It's
we
not an
want to do them.
excavator, it's not a fire truck.
I know, it's
yeah.
just a trailer.
Bring the dog.
Bring one of your vets, they'll be happy.
Yeah, but I won't.
But that is a Thursday, June 5th is a Thursday. You have Connecticut Trails Day is the 7th and 8th.
Oh, okay, so that must be, on a Thursday? So it must be like 4 to 6 or
That,
something
yeah,
like
that's why I
that.
said I thought it was an
Yeah,
evening thing
yeah.
after school.
I'm always in touch with Brian and Amanda, so if they need something at the last minute and I can do it.
Okay.
If they can do without it, then we won't do it.
All right, well, the trail's gonna be at Paul's house.
Okay.
Where I won't
Before
be,
June 5th.
where I won't be able to park it again, so if I did take it,
It's pretty,
if I
it's
do
open.
take it, I'll leave it at the garage.
I
so
can
it's-
only get John like a half dozen times to back it in.
Okay, so you skipped over May Cemetery cleanup and gravestone cleaning.
So we're not
We're not doing that.
involved in that. I just
Okay,
want to
that's-
mention it in
Well,
case
that's fine,
anybody
that's
was
fine, yeah,
interested in it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, Spring Outdoor Connecticut Trails Day, you're doing something, John?
So I'd like to do again the tri-state marker one. I'm gonna put it in. I think I still have like 2 weeks to get it in, but I will get it in.
Yeah, if you need help, I'll go with you on that.
Okay. I will,
Which day?
Well, one way or another.
Saturday or
Saturday.
Sunday?
I'd rather do it on Saturday, probably in the morning, not like super early, but
Yeah,
between 8 and 9 o'clock.
Plenty of parking there for that event this year.
Nice.
It'd be nice.
I'm looking at the list of events and not seeing Makers Fair, one way or the other. We were
We've never
talking about where we might want to put the truck and the trailer, so visibility, but I don't know, is that one that we're overlooking on purpose or by
well,
accident?
Makers Fair isn't really, that's a community day thing, it's not. really-
Makers Fair is more for the folks that do arts and crafts.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, we're making a trail.
the very first year we did Baker Fair,
I did bring it.
you brought it and you guys sold T-shirts, but I don't know what your inventory of T-shirts is, because you have something that you can actually sell, which. sort of
Yeah,
is
but
made on your
the rec
behalf.
department sells them for us if we have an
Okay,
inventory.
I'm just saying, if you
Right.
wanted to do it, we would find room for you. I will tell you, there's 122 vendors signed up, so which is.
That means
42
I'm gonna
more
be
than
there a
we had
long
last year.
time.
That is what?
That's 42 more than we had last year, so
Yeah.
if
So
you wanna do it,
spaces-
sign up fast, because
No,
I have to find room for you.
Pass, I think. I don't-
I've been
no,
asked to do something.
I mean-
so
We'll let
would
the
be
rec
available.
Brian always says he was willing to sell our t-shirts. I don't know what the inventory is now
No,
either,
that,
but
Maker Fair is the 3rd of May.
Yes, it is.
But that's why Charlie, I think, was asking, because it's not on here in our next meeting.
Yeah.
until after.
well, Amanda didn't invite us
Yeah,
to that.
But it's
so-
super busy, I know that, so I
Yeah.
don't know, I mean. I've been asked to do it as part of another organization to like help the CERT, Northeast CERT out of Putnam.
Okay, October Community Day. Do you know when the date is on that?
tell you quickly. So I have my analog calendar. Saturday, the 4th of October.
Okay.
I mean, the same thing as far as we can decide then if we want to have a presence.
I think that one is a more natural
Right.
fit
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the
Yeah,
trailer to be there. And
yeah, because all the other organizations in the town and in surrounding areas have something.
Yep.
Okay, cemetery history tour with Joe Imartino.
So he's gonna do that again, and I'm sure he wants us to help be there. A few of us, and that, I've got the dates here, so it's gonna be earlier in the day. It's not a spooky cemetery tour. It's just a
cemetery.
cemetery tour, the same cemetery with all the historic headstones.
What's the date?
The
The 25th
25th.
of October, and the rain date's the following day.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, I wasn't, I got messages about that meeting and I think it was part online, wasn't it? It wasn't like a hybrid.
The one
meeting?
with Amanda, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
literally it was that night, an hour after it started, and I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot.
Well, that's
So
where all these questions came up. Do
I
we want to
will-
do this? Do we want to do that? And
I will definitely
so-
be part of that, as I have in the past, and whatever needs to be done, helping park cars, whatever.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
well,
The planning
I'm
office.
there one way or the other,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
We kind of have that one under control.
I don't even know if I missed, well, it's not on the agenda, the turkey trot meeting, I don't know if we had one, coming up.
If I'm available, I help with the cemetery thing, because I haven't attended one yet, so. I don't
Well, you'll
know.
enjoy it, but there isn't that
Conflict.
much to really do,
Yeah.
yeah.
What time is that at? I'm sorry, you said it's early. right?
Three
The
o'clock.
cemetery is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's usually an hour and a quarter, depending on how many people are there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just pointed out by, my neighbor sitting at the table that it's written on the piece of paper, right?
Well, you can get your own, so.
all right.
Hard to use those glasses when they're.
Yeah.
If anybody can use someone to co-lead an event with them, I'm available for most dates. But I haven't scheduled anything myself.
So I will, I'll let Karen know when I get the confirmation on the Trails Day thing, and we can, hopefully, if you could send it out to whoever can come to help.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
kind of thinking that from the last meeting that we had. I was waiting for a word about it.
Parking might be interesting. I know we have the new parking lot, but it's different for everyone, so it'll definitely be a little bit something for us to all get used to.
So do we want to do a train wreck site tour? Because if you're gonna do it for the last Green Valley, it's gotta be in by April this month.
Yep,
So we're probably
what
gonna
to-
have like a grand opening of the park.
Yeah,
thing,
Yeah.
Right?
the question is, do you want to do it that early or do you want to do it later? Because
I would probably want to do it later where things kind of settle in and what's,
later than October?
yeah, later
The
than
end?
what is?
well, later than Connecticut Trails Day in June, because whatever is planted and seeded is gonna be brandy new. It might not look like much.
But you don't want to wait as long as the fall, which is,
How about
it would be, you could do the September.
September 27th?
You could do it in June. I mean,
What?
this,
What date?
September 27th, so it would be part of October, we get into October guide. Technically, it's a little bit early for that, but they would put
Yeah,
it in
they
the
do
October guide
September,
for sure,
yeah.
because some stuff does, and that's the week before Community Day. I mean, a lot of it's gonna fall on you, Paul, because I don't know, you know the history and, well,
Yeah.
I mean, gladly, I'm sure we
Yeah,
can.
usually we'll have the historical society down with some
What's
showing.
the date of the reenactment for the 250?
it's October.
Yeah,
October.
So we'd be away from that too, that'd be good. Or unless you'd rather a Saturday or a Sunday, the Saturday is the 27th, the 28th. Oh, wait a minute, that's September, yes, we're still good. That's October. if that works for you.
We'll check with Joe. Saturday, September 27th as a possibility.
Yeah. Well,
And then-
I would feel better about June if I had a better sense of when the landscaping crew was
Yeah.
coming in and what they were putting in. But your next meeting isn't until the beginning of June, so.
Mm,
And we're gonna do a Connecticut Trails Day is right after our meeting, because our next meeting is June 2nd and June 7th, which is the Saturday after is Connecticut Trails. So, it would happen after the next meeting, but I think, I'd rather do it in the fall, I think, no? Once we've got all that
I
stuff
think,
grow
it's,
and
yeah,
the chips, I just know from experience, because we just put a bunch of chips down on my, adventure course at work. It takes a while for them to kind of settle down a little bit with some rain and, different stuff on top of it, so. But I think September would be good, I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, I think later would be better. You just, yeah, there's still a lot of handwork and stuff that kind of needs to, straighten things up.
Okay, Brian, you're on.
Not much to say, it's kind of early in the year, but we did get a jump on things for sponsorships this year because we know there might be some overlap with the 250th celebration and the extensive funds they're looking to raise. Amy has been intentionally trying to look at sources that don't interfere with the turkey trot, because she knows how important our fundraising is to the three organizations involved. That said, they still need to raise something like $60,000. He's looking at some of the bigger corporations that we don't go to or that have done work for the town. But there's bound to be some overlap, so. We also got a lot of letters out late last year, so I got together with Brian Levency last week and all of our past sponsors, people that dropped off last year or people we didn't get last year because we were a little late. Should be about 50 letters that were out, several of them, about 20 of them. I wrote personalized letters because we didn't get them or because they had left and I wanted it to be a little more than just a boilerplate letter that everyone got that I signed. So that went out at the very least, and we wanted to get it on people's heads. Obviously, it's still months before they have to write a check, but you don't want to wait till the month before, especially with other demands. And it's an election year. There's a lot of things going on. So the sooner we get it in people's minds, the better. Sooner they might put aside some of their budget for it. And hopefully we can have another successful year, or at least if it's inevitable that we might lose some, I mean, I don't think sponsors would necessarily drop off, but they might drop to a lower level because they want to help in the other program. Hopefully we minimize the drop, but it's been a really good couple of years. I certainly think we'll survive if we don't have a gain and have a little less this year, but I'm never content to settle for that, so we started a little sooner.
It's being recorded.
Yes, I know. I'm ready to resign at any time.
I'm just saying, we didn't get as much as we got before and you're so disappointed, I'm gonna say, refer back to this meeting.
I know, but that's why I said that, I'm joking, because I'm not going anywhere yet.
All right. So we're on to social media, PR, outreach, maps, brochures, and flyers. We already know we're getting Z-maps somewhere down the road, or upgrades or updates.
More towns are joining the ZMAP
Okay,
program. So when we do reprints, we'll have a new shared side with other towns represented
But we have plenty of maps still.
in my office.
Okay.
you still have a lot of them?
I have box and 2/3 from the last printing.
Okay,
We're not getting another printing, like that's the,
So we've had 2 printings done courtesy of the tourism district. I want to say that the decision to print those came around the end of the fiscal year, each of the last years, like they had budget to expend. So that's come with little or no match from the individual towns. it was not discussed if we were gonna do another small reprint at the last meeting. We did talk about brochures, but these are outside that brochure program, the tourism district's brochure program, because they were done separately. Everybody in the district likes those maps and knows how valuable they are, so as they have budget, I'm sure that they'll do some small reprints year on year.
So is your door open and get the mic so he knows what we're talking about?
Right here.
If he hasn't seen him yet, maybe someone made their way north of the border.
No, I used to leave them in the Dudley Library and they always disappeared.
So the reason for me to ask is I want to take some for Connecticut Trails Day to have some available, but we'll have another meeting before then.
Yeah, they just live in my office.
Okay, so I'll get some meeting, that's the week before Connecticut Trails Day, then I won't lose them.
I have a note about Facebook posts and so another event that we didn't talk about was the Natchog Epic. I sent John and several other people a link, a post from their website that shows a very professionally produced start to finish of this year's event. And lots of it is in Thompson. And I think that with over 430 riders this year, there's been a growth each year. It is becoming increasingly evident that it's popular. Winners reside in Germany and they still come back over here to ride this bike event. So we do have their social posts that we could pull over. I sent them to John today for intent that he would put them up on the Trails Committee page. But those are, social media is how, you know, I'm trying to get the word out that this is Thompson. And
Charlie, how did you send them to me?
I sent them as an attachment on an email.
Okay,
And also Tara got it. I think Karen got it. I don't know if Paul got it, Brian got it. I don't remember. I don't have everybody's email in my phone. And I just sent it to people that I had quickly. When I found
I
it.
haven't been on there.
It's a nice, the guy that did the videography had nice equipment and he did it. It's really, it showcases the entire region, but it really does showcase Thompson, especially when you know the landmarks as the team rides by.
So I don't have access to it right now here because I don't get good service, Charlie, but I will look when I get home and I'll share that
That's
with
fine.
the.
That, you know, I sent it in the middle of the afternoon just because I stumbled across it.
This is just what they posted on their page, right, on Facebook? Charlie,
They do have their own Facebook page, Natchog Epic.
but this is
And,
what they
and-
posted on their page and you just shared it from that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay,
I've tried to send them to the Thompson Trails committee page and it didn't like me. I post too much.
Okay, bike route maps.
That's Charlie.
We just talked about it.
No, the bike route map that you're working on with
Oh,
NECOG
Um,
on.
those, several of the routes through Thompson are available through Ride with My GPS or something, I forget. I got it. Ride with GPS, and they're already up there. They're not over on the Trails Committee page yet. But the Trails Committee page says when we submit something, we're supposed to put a description of it. These are rides that other people took. And they include that Natchog Epic. So we do have.
But you
that.
don't have a Thompson map with NECOG yet.
Not yet, but
Okay.
we're building the database and we need that in order
Okay.
for ECOG to load it up.
Okay.
Okay, we're up to the signage on the railroad trestle bridge over the 395 ramp to Route 12.
We talked about that.
Yeah, but where are
We
we?
didn't-
Like, is there any kind of consensus that we want to pursue this? I didn't hear any.
Well, we can't do anything unless we submit it to the airline trail, and that's a state,
Well, not the airline trail.
No,
the-
that's a-
The bridge is DOT.
And
of the bridges
see,
DOT. So
that's the
That's not
crazy
part of the
thing.
trail?
Nobody knows, and we've been wasting time waiting for them to decide.
we
Who to
can't-
decide? We haven't asked anybody.
Of course we have. We've been trying to get an answer to who's responsible for this for 10
Who's-
years.
Have you been doing that? That's what you said you were gonna do. You keep saying we.
Yeah, who's
I
we?
have been
I
doing
I
that
haven't
and
done
doing
anything on
nothing.
this.
I'm just a volunteer as far as the people in Hartford are concerned.
So are we all.
I know.
Nobody has contacted DOT to ask if we can do anything there, right?
I haven't.
It's not that no one is.
No one has.
So if I just throw out a question again, just on Charlie saying that, what would we picture something being there? Like what?
What I
would-
picture being
Oh,
there,
Thompson? I don't know,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Airline Trail?
The original discussions we had was like, oh, the sign in Putnam, you go under the railroad thing and but theirs is a banner, I believe, that hangs there.
Yes.
And we don't want to do something where somebody can go up and just cut it down and it drops in the
What about
road.
if you do
Correct.
something, How they,
but,
have-
and this
Like,
is something.
Wait, Mike,
Charlie,
Charlie, let Mike
Mike,
like a
talk.
lot of the electric boxes in Putnam, they had local artists come in
Right.
and they, instead of having the ugly line, whatever, the green color, a lot of towns are doing that. So they're just spicing up the,
Right, and it's nice, but the town also owns those.
right,
They can make that decision. The
yes,
state owns these.
right, I know, I mean, that's what I was thinking of. Some kind of, that they'll have a theme,
Right.
maybe each panel has a different, or whatever, like
Yeah,
one
how many panels
one
are-
side, half of one side of a panel.
Like,
you
isn't the one in front of the Putnam, town hall complex, whatever they call that building, isn't that one painted, like at the traffic light right there in front?
Yeah.
That
On
one-
Route 44, but that's a banner.
That would be a town road, so
I
somebody
think
had
that's
to.
a banner, isn't it?
That's a banner on both sides.
It's painted?
It's the box, like
Yeah,
the
the
box that
box.
controls
A lot of
the
them, all-
traffic
Oh.
stuff, they do local artists. paint.
All those boxes along that way, like in downtown Putnam,
Right.
they've all been redone.
Downtown, I think, is Putnam. but I'm
Yes,
saying Route
yes,
12
yes.
is State road. That's not a town road, it's a state route. Route
Right,
12.
yeah.
So they somebody at DOT must have,
Had to give the okay.
I don't know if we have like a point of contact we can ask in Putnam who got the okay for that?
But should it say something like Thompson Airline?
So I agree with that bridge, that's what I'm saying with that bridge, it should, that's why I'm asking, like, what do we?
What do we
Something
say?
that
What do we
maybe
state?
Dave Labs or someone can help with a type of
So,
design.
So let me,
So
let me
if-
contact DOT.
Yeah, and I would-
What, Bush?
Bushy,
that
I
Bushy?
guess. I think
And
Bushy.
see who would be in charge of a decision on that. Can we do anything? And what can we do? And then we can talk about
Yep,
who would do it and what we
And if
want
you
to
wanted
say.
Do that, what I would.
And to the point of the person who's been envisioning this and pushing it along. Yes, go ahead and talk to him, but what I envision is you're coming down the connector road, you look over the top, you see Airline Trail, you see Thompson CT, Find Your Way, and you see Rails Trails Conservancy, and you're underneath it. But on the abutment, we find somebody who's an artist and they paint something that describes the town, whether it's a train wreck or whether it's the, whatever, something that is artistic instead of just plain cement. Something that makes Thompson more interesting. I've seen these murals everywhere and they're beautiful. Why
There must be
not?
grants for that. There
but,
must be
but
grants.
you have
So
to get
there's the
permission
thing.
first.
gotta
And we
pay
can
the-
go for a grant, but my point, and I said it earlier, please understand, I fully realize that DOT is the gatekeeper on this, but they've been asleep. They haven't been able to figure it out. And I think we're smart enough to figure it out and to go to them and say, You can't do it. We can. Just sign here. I believe we can do it. And be part of the process. That's why I also said it's important that Valerie or somebody who has a horse trailer signs off on that thing before the guys go away. You wait too long, you got a problem forever. And
So-
just,
Okay, Charlie, we got it. So if you contact Bushy and either he directs you to the proper person or says it's okay, what I would recommend is that you would create a request for proposals from Artists of Public Art. But the thing is, any artist who's gonna be sufficiently capable of doing something on that scale is gonna expect to be paid.
Right.
So you're gonna have to come up with a budget for it. You can't write a grant unless you know what your budget is. I don't even know what grant program I would look for that, but there probably are some if I cast around for it.
Well, let's first of all find out if
If we can do
Yeah,
it.
you'd have to
Get
start
the
with.
So what I'm
permission
gonna
to get
ask is,
permission.
can we paint on both sides, coming off the highway
and
and
on.
going onto the highway?
Yeah.
And it might be something different, obviously, on either side.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Big trails logo.
any
Well, that's
report?
what I'm thinking, is maybe.
point
you
of
can even
order, point of order. We don't
take
have
that
to
logo
paint the
with,
bridge. We
like-
don't have to paint the bridge. We could go to Airbrush Shack and have them make signs and just attach them. They
Okay,
paint,
Brian just said that. Okay.
okay.
All right, reports from neighboring towns. Oh, I'll just give you a quick one on Southbridge. They're finally opening up from East Main Street all the way to Dudley. They've been working on the storage, whatever it is, on the street. But while they were doing that, I don't know how they did it, but got a piece that they've got from the trestle on Lower Main Street all the way through. And I've been watching them do it,
Me too.
40 years.
So, can I ask you a question? So they're doing from where the bridge used to go over the main street,
Yes.
right by the rotary, but they're
Yeah.
doing it from there all the way to connect to Dudley?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, right to what used to be called the paper mill, yeah.
Yeah.
And then from the paper mill, you can go right into Connecticut. It stops there, and then it starts back on off of Limehouse Road.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little of a mess over there at the paper mill.
They
Because
what?
It's kind of a mess.
Well,
over
yes,
at
it
the
is,
paper mill.
but you can
Yeah.
get around it. You can get around it.
And
I don't even know. Is there any thoughts? I don't know if anybody's talked to, I don't know. I'm surprised that Dudley hasn't done something with that over there because they tarred all that. They've done a lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
yeah, but
actually
again,
have
it's,
a town
it's
DPW.
it's money, you know, and a bridge is
But
involved.
that's just-
So when there's a bridge involved, you know, it's like the end of the world. But, okay, Connecticut Trail Census,
I haven't looked it up recently.
I got an email, and Charlie, you must have seen this, that they want us to do the 10 hours of calibration again.
You just.
They want it every year. Charlie, I don't know, you're in charge of this calibrator. Did they tell you anything like last year's count? That the counter wasn't working, at the calibration what we did didn't count?
No, I didn't get any word about that. So far as I know, everything's fine.
And in that email, they wanted regular checks. Are you checking the counter? They wanted
I
like
checked
monthly
the
checks.
counter. I checked the counter. I checked to make sure that the battery's working and that the timer or the infrared is working. I make sure it's all clean. And only report if I have a problem. I know that they
Right.
have somebody that checks it on a quarterly basis and they download the data.
Well, they didn't get back to us and say the data didn't match the counter or anything like that. I don't know.
Oh, no.
If it has
get a
anything to
note?
do with
I saw a note that said, thank you, but I didn't see any other notes.
Okay, I saw the thank you, but then recently there was something that said, this is what you're supposed to be doing every year. And I don't
Yeah.
have 10 hours to sit there again with nobody going by.
I know, but we thought at the time that the smartest thing to give us a robust report was to put the timer up there where most people were walking. And
Yeah, I'm just saying,
apparently,
if they're making more requirements, we may want to rethink where that counter is or something. I don't know.
As in,
you
I'm
know,
confused.
the train wreck park is coming online, so
I
maybe it
know.
does need to go down that way.
No, but I think for us to sit there for 10 hours every year is a little excessive. I'll have to talk to them because I don't,
So I don't disagree with you with that, but I don't know what moving it to another site. Like
It's gonna
that's,
make a
that's our
difference.
biggest trail, like if we put it somewhere
Yeah.
else where there's even less people crossing, then you're gonna spend 10
Right.
hours literally doing
Right.
nothing. And again, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, so that's why I didn't get your comment, like, where do we put it?
or, well, maybe we don't want it. I don't know. If we're not gonna
That's-
have the manpower to fulfill what they're asking. So I'll have to find out, or Charlie, you'll have to find out if we don't do it, are they gonna take the counter away?
That's a good point.
I
They're
have used that
they're
data.
gathering good data, and it's available for us if we can find a way. You know, we're talking about a grant source. So if we can
We
say,
don't-
hey, we want to put this on the trail, and this trail is
Not 10
already.
hours straight, but you got it, they want 10 hours of time within.
That's
s-
always
part-
been the requirement. That's always been the requirement that
I
they
mean,
need a
You
big
ask, is anybody willing to
block
go up there and sit for an hour here and there and do the Connecticut
at
Trail
least
Census?
an hour.
It shouldn't be one person to do 10 hours. That is a
Right, I
lot.
mean, I had a
Yeah.
volunteer last year out of Putnam and she did a few of them. But,
I mean, I'll do something like, I
all
don't.
right, all right. Well, I'll
And
find out if
for
they
an hour,
really,
I think we use the
need it.
data and it helps us, if it
Right.
helps us to get grants
It-
and, I mean. even
It
if we get a
has been
dollar,
helpful to me in the past, for sure.
I think
I
it's a
think
worthy
so.
cause.
I seem to recall that Tira used that data in the application for the grant that we're talking about at the train wreck site.
That is
You know,
correct.
every bit of data helps, and the more we can show that this is popular in the town, the more likely public and private funds will be available for us. 'Cause we can only do it with ideas. We don't have the money.
I mean, if we can go up there, I don't know, if we can all spend an hour, I mean, it's an hour.
right,
But
should be a
you
team.
want a busy hour, you know?
What's that?
You know when the busy
Create
hours
a
are?
team, people.
Yeah,
Well,
you
right.
can look at the report. It's online. You can look at the report and see when the busiest hours are in the whole month.
That's about it, but calibration, so if you said it's 10 people, and 10 people go by, then, yeah, it's calibrated, if only one guy goes by, it's calibrated.
I know.
right.
Right, but that's why.
I
they
mean,
asked
but
for-
last year I was walking by it myself while,
Then you can add up.
but
Yeah.
Angela was writing
Calibration.
it down.
Walk by 10
Yeah,
times, 10 people
yeah,
went by, is
right.
this right? And with the data, the data matched the report.
All right,
We
let's
did
That's a
do that.
calibration.
I'm saying, you can.
I think
literally
it
send
would be better solved to have more volunteers.
That walk up that hill, because they're gonna go by the fountain.
No, but I had people who biked up to it from Douglas and then ride back and I wouldn't have seen those.
Oh,
You gotta come through.
I think it's
Right, I
pretty
walk
clear.
my dog here every day, she says, and then she goes back. So,
I'm just telling you, I
so,
went,
yeah,
when I was up there last week, I was at the bridge, the cattle bridge,
Yeah.
and you can look down and see the parking lot now. Again, because it's sand, so it's contrasting with the trees and stuff that are on the side, but I'm saying it's a pretty clear view.
yeah.
So I would think you could see the counter. I'm just saying, if I did it, I would sit in the parking lot by the kiosk there and watch people that walked up there or came down.
You don't have to fill in that form anymore?
You just have to count.
Yeah, there's a form online that you fill it in.
Oh, okay, but the one time I did, or the couple of times I did it.
You had to ask questions.
They had like
That was
four,
that was a survey, that
Okay,
wasn't.
well, they don't.
It's a
do that anymore?
calibration.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
God.
So you
We
just
don't
have
do
to
that
count people that
anymore.
go by it For an hour, or 10 hours.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you have groups, you can't see if they're going by the counter at the same time and stuff, but yeah. And it's supposed to write down if it's a stroller or a bike
Oh,
and stuff like that,
okay.
yeah.
The Rotaract, the Rotarian kids,
Hmm.
they must need projects.
Or even like, what's the word I'm looking for? Honor students, aren't they supposed to do so many hours of town?
All the kids are supposed to do some kind of community service. Of course, everybody says, oh, the kids do community service at every meeting, every time anybody needs anything. I don't know if anybody ever pursues
But
it.
then their parents have to drive them up there and you have to, you know.
I will also, again, we got some of those volunteers, and again, I'll say, it was my nieces and my daughters and some of their friends that volunteered at the fire department when we had
Mhm.
chicken dinners, and they worked, you know what I mean, and did their volunteer service there. I mean, it was. 4 to 7, so they get 3-hour wax twice a year, so I mean, there were other kids that I didn't know, so I mean, they are doing it, we just gotta
Well, if you,
find out who it is.
okay.
And see if we can arrange it.
All right,
Sure.
so we're on to equipment, tools, status, maintenance. You guys need
Not yet.
any funds for gas, oil?
Well, we will.
I think we already have that, we have an open thing, don't we, for that, for so much that, and for gas per month, and we've.
I don't think we voted it this year. You want to vote it in again? Make a motion that I can okay up to
How much?
$200.
Get it and I'll.
It's
call
higher now,
Karen.
you want-
I got
And,
gas.
and the other thing is they gave me a bunch of things, the receipts I can sign them ahead of time.
Sign ahead of time.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. We need some of those.
But again, he will bill us if we go up and get those, so we just need to make a motion to say how much.
I
that we
make a
want.
motion that we reappropriate funds for maintenance and for operational costs of the equipment that we need to do our service in the community. Same
Well,
amount as last year.
Well, everything's up. You want to make it 300 instead of 200?
Make it 300.
That 5 gallons of that gas costs $125, right?
So you want to make it higher?
Wow. But wait a minute now, so let's talk about that then, because I agree, wow, but I talked to the man there and I said, what maintenance do I need? We've had the tools this long, and he said, what are you using for fuel? And I pointed to that stuff, and he said, nothing, you're good.
Nothing.
If you use gas from the gas station, which is gonna save us money, in the long run, it'll cost us more money, because we're gonna have to get our equipment serviced, and it's gonna break down on us.
Usually what'll
So-
happen, I'll get regular gas if I'm gonna be using it, you know. If you're gonna let it sit a long time, that other gas is good for that, you know,
Right.
or stale, whatever.
So again, I think it is costly, but again,
Yeah.
if we use one of those cans.
Yeah.
Or 2 cans in a year, I
Yeah.
would be surprised.
I strongly agree. The ethanol that they put in gas that we get at the gas stations makes like a varnish inside of the small engines, their pistons and
I
their
think it's such a long
carburetors.
time.
We need a second.
And most of our stuff does, but again, I agree, you and I
I'll
had
second.
conversations about.
I'll
it.
second
Usually I'll
that,
get the
yeah.
gas when I'm using it.
Okay, Lucille, second, up to $300 that I can okay without
Yeah,
for
favor?
year for supplies and maintenance. All in
Aye.
favor?
I,
Okay, new agendas for future meetings.
So.
I was told that we have to bring up this discussion about feasibility to put big rock stepping stones across the French River. Maybe, to connect the area behind 65 Main. That's gonna be a nice project if nobody's seen it. Anybody who hasn't seen it should look it up. That will put trails down on the west side of the river. And it begs to be connected in my thinking.
So
So
I
I'll
was
put it
just
on the
about-
agenda.
Okay,
I was just about to say, if you'll indulge me for 1 minute, because it wasn't on this agenda, I do want to give you guys a brief update on the status of the 65 Main project. So I took a 3-month extension for the final deliverable of the master plan, because I got a little bottleneck with the last 3 components. One is the engineered site plan for that Riverside parcel. I do have a con call tomorrow morning at 9 with the engineer. So we actually do have 60% drawings with the new trails that are going to be located down there. I would have shared them, but I'm having the same problem with that here.
60% completed drawing should be, is that what you're saying?
Right,
Okay.
right. So it's like you get a 30% plan, then a 60%
Okay.
plan, and a 90% plan. So, and that, the engineered plans are being paid for out of the USDA grant that I took the 3-month extension on. I'm gonna ask tomorrow if they can also add some scope to do a landscaping plan for the top portion, the one around the building, because when I was on a partners call with USDA last week, there is another organization in New Hampshire that has a grant under that same project to actually plant orchards. In other words, they have the funds. So since the appropriation that Courtney approved got cut out of the budget when with all the shenanigans at the federal level, we lost that $730,000. That's official as of a couple weeks ago. I may have the opportunity to reapply for next year's federal budget. But I'm gonna try to get as much done with other people's money as I can. So I just wanted to give you guys that update. I did form a 501c3 in my name for the future business incubator in there, because I'm working with UConn Transactional Law Clinic to create bylaws for it and everything. And I'm working on the business plan. So those are the last three pieces. But the piece that's most relevant to you guys is we do have plans being developed for the Riverside mulched and stone dust trails with cost estimates so that I can get the construction funded at some point in our future. There's my update.
Okay,
So if you
but
want to put that on the
just
June agenda, I
this
should have
one.
more information.
All right. Just funding right now for to complete the design, right?
Under the current
Under the
USDA grant, the
current grant.
planning grant,
Okay,
yes, I have money to definitely complete the site design for what we keep calling the bottomlands, the Riverside portion. And I should have enough money in the grant to expand the scope with this engineering firm who also has landscape architects on staff to actually do a real planting plan for the upper part, which is the part that surrounds the building. So progress. And the renovation money is going to be funded by the state. The rest of the renovation money is coming from the SIF grant, which is the $4 million. I still don't have a contract for it, but I was finally assigned a project admin, so. Miraculous, I tell you. So that's where we are.
No further business? I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Amen.
Good night, everyone.
thank you.
Hey,
all.
Tira, did we get
Yeah.
a sign off on the River Mill project? I remember the last I heard, we were waiting for the previous owner to sign off. Has he done that?
Yeah, hold on, that's outside the scope of the meeting. Let me shut off the.
I know, that's why I waited till it was adjourned, but